a divided populace. It doesn't seem an obvious choice for huge inward investment of private capital. But one thing I'm convinced about is that the future for Niger is a disaster unless it achieves a much sharper. Well, having painted this dire picture, and I will finish in the next 5 minutes, I want to say something optimistic about Africa. And the story comes from Kenya. And it shows that that you can galvanize and mobilize a population to achieve huge reproductive changes in a short period of time, given the political will. In the late 70s, a fertility survey was done in Kenya that showed high desired family size, virtually nobody using contraception, an average fertility rate of 8 births per woman. If nothing changed, Kenya's population would double every 19 years. President Moi and his then Vice President Kibaki said, the time has come, we must do something about it. And they went round the country mobilizing district commissioners, getting the elite groups, the school teachers, the medical profession on their side, vast expansion of family planning services, social marketing of condoms and pills, introducing family planning in every health center and hospital, and community-based work. And they achieved almost a reproductive miracle. As you can see, the desired family size dropped dramatically. The percentage using contraception rose steeply from 7% in 1978 to 33% in 1993, and the fertility rate dropped from 8 to 5.4 births per woman. It can be done. It's almost as though Kenyans in the late 70s were frozen into a reproductive culture that was no longer suitable for them. And once you've broken the ice, things changed very quickly. And I don't see why that shouldn't happen in many other African countries as well, given the political will to do it. But that success soured in Kenya. Money and energy, vehicles and staff were diverted from family planning to HIV. The political oomph went out of family planning. And partly as a result of that de-intensification of the family planning effort, as you can see from this chart, fertility plateaued unexpectedly at a little above 5 births per woman, and the level of contraceptive use, instead of marching upwards, also plateaued. During that period, since the mid-90s, the percentage of births declared by women to be unwanted rose from 11 to 21%. The percentage of contraceptive users relying on government services fell quite steeply, suggesting that indeed government services did deteriorate. But the most dramatic change was the UN had to shift its mid-century population projection for Kenya from 44 million to 83 million. Now, Kenya is a country I know quite well. All the arable land is intensely cultivated already. There are severe water shortages. It seems to me an absolute disaster awaits Kenya if that population projection of 83 million proves to be the case. So Kenya has a lesson of huge success in the 80s, followed by a reversal of the demographic fortune of that country in the mid-90s till today. To generalize the argument about poverty, population, and development, devised this little table here in which you see the distribution of the 76 poorest countries in the world, excluding those with a population of under 5 million, tabulated by population growth, which defines the 3 horizontal rows, and unmet need for family planning, that is the percentage of women who say they don't want any more children or no more children for at least 2 years, but are not using contraception. And you will see that 26 of those 76 countries, and they're mainly African ones, but not entirely, fall in the top right-hand cell, with high unmet need and high population growth. High population growth is usually defined at 2% per annum or more, which means a doubling every 36 years or less. And that's quite good news, because it brings the reproductive rights and reproductive health people together with people like me who see population more from a development perspective. There needn't be a clash between reproductive rights and the demographic economic rationale for greater investment in family planning, because the countries where demography poses the most severe problems are also the countries where the self-declared need for contraception tends to be greatest. The trouble with the rights movement is that it doesn't signal the priority that should be given to family planning, because we live in a world with so many other rights that just to shout about reproductive rights cuts no ice with people who hold the purse strings. So I put to you, and I'm going to close here, that economic and social development and demography should set priorities, and that human rights is important in determining how you launch and actually implement policies to reach population stabilization. So rights have a place. I'm not trying to denigrate them, but they are not a satisfactory way of establishing priorities. And population stabilization has to become a priority again for Africa. We have just lost the plot. ICPD is much to blame by delinking family planning from development. And once you've done that, the money just fell away. Ministers of Finance and the World Bank are not interested, really, whatever their rhetoric might be, in reproductive rights. They're interested in poverty alleviation and hunger alleviation. And unless we make that link again, reforge that link, investment in family planning is going to continue to decline, and African governments, though they have on paper policies to reduce fertility, will be given no encouragement to do anything about it, and Africa may end up as a disaster, And by mid-century, roughly 20% of the world population is going to be African. I don't want to live in a world, mind you, I'll be long dead, but I wouldn't want my children to live in a world where 1/5 of humanity is still marred in hunger and poverty. And unless something happens about fertility in Africa, that is the prospect. Thanks.